Welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Battle Brothers. Now, it has been a little while since I've recorded, so I'm going to have to try and remember where I left off, and I am recovering from being sick. I'm mostly recovered, but my voice may sound a little off, and I'll try not to cough on you guys too much. But in any case, from what I recall, first off, we've got a great reminder here. I just destroyed an orc camp, which was my mission, so now all I have to do is go back to the town to collect my reward. And I think, if I remember last, I still have to clean up the loot and the level ups. So, as far as the orc loot goes, I remember looking at this, and I decided that this would not really be ideal weaponry to use, because they have pretty heavy fatigue penalties, and it looks like they also, I didn't notice this before, but it builds up an additional 5 fatigue for every skill used. So, probably a direct comparison here is we have this head splitter, which is a one-handed axe. So, if we look at one of our guys that has an axe, we see that that normally would do 30 to 45, but this does 35 to 65, so a definite damage increase. And how is the difference in effectiveness against armor? 30% ignore, 120% against armor. So 30% ignore is still the same, slightly better effective against armor, but we see maximum fatigue is minus 22 versus the minus 10, so that's a difference of 12, and also you have that fatigue buildup. So, I don't think that's really ideal, especially with the way that we fight with the shields and the heavier armor. It's going to really be draining on the fatigue of what little fatigue we do have with our troops. Also, it does do more shield damage, 16 versus 12. I have another campaign running that I've been covering in streams, and I may eventually bring to my channel on YouTube. And I have noticed that the Woodcutter's Axe is pretty effective against shredding shields because it does shield damage of 30, which is more than twice what the hand axe does, and even this weapon, it's almost twice what this does, and this is upgraded. And again, the head chopper, it does 18, it has 18 fatigue penalty versus, for instance, if we were to replace our swords. I know it's a cleaver, so it's slightly different, but if we were to replace our sword, again, more damage, 40 to 70. Granted, the minimum damage of the Noble Sword is slightly higher, and it is more effective against armor as well, although I think, yeah, it even ignores more armor as well. But you have the fatigue difference. Minus 18 versus minus 8. So it's a difference of 10. And then, again, you have the fatigue buildup every time you use a skill. So we'll for sure be selling those. But let's go ahead and do our level ups, even if we're not going to take this equipment. And I don't think I'm even going to take the shields here, because comparing them to a normal shield, we have a little bit more fatigue. It is better against ranged attacks, but you have the fact that they're not very durable. One attack by one of these head splitters would shred the shield, whereas a normal shield could take at least one strike. And then our Kite Shield, which has more of a range defense than the Ferro Shield does, could take a few blows with a weapon like this. So I definitely think the Kite Shield's the better way to go, and we have them in our inventory. We're just kind of waiting for men to have enough fatigue to be able to use them. Alright, so as I was saying, let's do our level up. So this guy's level 6, and usually speaking, I'm going to take the melee skill. That's a good roll for a range skill. And there have been thoughts with other campaigns I've done for maybe having throwing weapons as a backup for these men. But I think we stick with our guns. And this is not a bad roll for melee defense. Not great for range defense, and this guy's kind of being one-dimensional in that realm, but he does have the Kite Shield to protect him as far as that goes. So let's go ahead and give him the melee defense, because that's going to be pretty important for a frontliner. We could give him a little bit of hit points, too. I don't know how much I've leveled this up for him. Resolve might be a good call, too. Is this guy that was traumatized? I don't know if I can see that right away. May be a big effect on him. I don't remember which guy that was. We can always cancel the level up. No, so this is not the man that's traumatized. So, I mean, that is kind of a little bit low. Resolve-wise, the roll should be the same, so we can still apply these in the same places. So resolve might be good. That it brings him up to 40. Initiative, you know, that's not bad. I seemingly always roll well for that stat. Fatigue, it's not a particularly good roll. As much as I like fatigue, I don't know if I'm going to go that route. So I'm between either hit points, resolve, or range defense. And I think I'm going to go with the resolve here. Now for the perks, we are in this level, and I don't recall what is the better thing to take for a guy with a shield. What did we end up taking for Alaric? We took the underdog, and that's probably a good call because, yeah, any defense due to being surrounded opponents no longer applies to this character. I think that's really useful for a shield wall character, so we're going to go ahead and take that. Because as a shield wall, if you have one line mashing up against another line, you're always going to get that surround bonus because it's really easy to get 2 men on somebody, and that's all you need for a surround bonus. Now, you can get more of a surround bonus by having more men around them if somebody has a perk that builds off of that, but your standard surround bonus is only going to be 2 men against each other. And again, a straight line like that, it's very easy to do that. So I think this is very useful for the shield wall. Alright, so that's one level up. Now we have another. And this is going to be our archer. So again, a level 6 upgrade. So range skill, we rolled well there, so might as well take that. I always seemingly roll well on range defense. I think I've taken enough for that particular character, though. Let's go ahead and build up initiative. And fatigue's not a bad roll here, or a bad one to take. So I'll take that, because archers can have fatigue build up, just like any other character. Alright, so this character is... Overwhelm could be effective, but I don't know, does it work with range attacks? It just says, with every attack, hit or miss. Just, yeah, it gives them a debuff. And he can, in theory, attack twice, so we could have that debuff stack, because it says the effect stacks with each attack and can be applied to multiple targets at once with a single attack. Reach advantage isn't going to help us. We definitely don't want Lone Wolf the way we fight. Footwork can be useful for an archer, because you can draw them out of the combat zone without getting that attack of opportunity, which I think is for sure what we're going to take. I think that's a very valuable skill for an archer. Alright, well that's our level ups, and we've already discussed the loot, so I think we just move on from here. And it looks like we have a pretty straight path. Now we have to go all the way back to Hohenau, which is over here. So we've got a long trip ahead of us. But we can always hop over into Grafenberg if we want. I don't recall how many dogs we had at the end of that fight. So we are at least 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. So we only have 1 dog remaining from what I saw there. We're definitely going to want to replace our dogs. I think Grafenberg has a kennel, so we'll go straight over there. And injuries-wise, where are we at? So, just light injuries, and then we have cut leg muscles. That's a pretty bad injury from what I recall. So, yeah. So, I think the character might have had that before we even did the fight. I don't remember 100%. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and go back to Grafenberg. And we'll... Ooh, what do we got here? Unknown garrison. I'm going to assume undead because Grandfather's Tomb. But we don't have enough of a scout on it to see what it is. I'm going to assume that's something that I didn't know was there. I'm trying to remember. Wasn't there some kind of camp that I saw over this way? Is it still on the map? Yeah, so, yeah, that must be something that wasn't there before, or I just didn't see before. It's possible that I went there in the night. Again, it's been a while since I last recorded this, so... That may be why I didn't see it. But that should be, even out of line of sight, that should be permanently on the map now. So we may have a mission in the future to address that. We still have marauding greenskins in this town, which is going to mean that supplies are low. Now, there is an option in the game to remove the late game condition where towns can be destroyed. Because I started this series after that change was made, where you can turn that off, I'm going to assume towns will be destroyed once we get to the late game. So I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, though. All right, so the real place I want to go to is the kennel. And we probably already bought dogs here because I don't see... And if I'm going to definitely take the armored ones if I can. So I just go to the basic marketplace and sell any items we don't want there. So we've got a fair number of these better helmets now. So I think we start getting rid of the padded ones because they're not quite as good. I'll get rid of one for now. We're going to get rid of all the orc weapons. I don't see a point in keeping those around. And we'll get rid of the orc shields. And let's sort. We might have more of these swords than we need. As a matter of fact, we've got arming swords, which in my opinion are better. 40 to 45 versus 35 to 45. Same maximum damage, but better minimum damage here. Armor defeating is also better with the arming sword versus the cruel falcon. So I'll go ahead and sell those as well. And we may have more shields than we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shields. I'll get rid of this one. And maybe another one. Is there anybody lacking shields at this point? It looks like they all have one. Alright. As a matter of fact, most of our men have upgrade shields at this point. We only have a three shields in our front line that are the standard shields, so I could probably even get rid of more shields than I have. Because at this point, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shields. We probably don't need that many, especially as we have another 3 kite shields in reserve. I actually miscounted 2 because we have 6 shields. Alright, I'll sell another damage shield, why not? I mean, there's always the possibility we'll get wiped, half our squad wiped. That's happened in the past. But I think we're good to go, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave. Food's not too bad. We're only consuming 25 provisions a day. We have 6 more days worth. So I think we just get right back on the road. We head for Hornau at this point. I'm going to want to replace those dogs, but unfortunately, Grafenberg, we're going to have to wait longer before we get that supply. I might have to go back up to Adlerwalk to get the dogs, and I consider that an important part of our arsenal, so I think it may be worth the trip. And we can always check for jobs along the way and get some income. But so far, a pretty quiet return journey. There is tracks. Oop. Go on the road. It's much faster, even if there is a shortcut. I don't think it's that much of a shortcut. Okay, so just a caravan in front of us. The woods may be dangerous, but you know, as we saw, not very many of my men are wounded outside of Hartmut the Half-Man, so I think we'll be fine. And there's an armorer here. We may take a look at that, because we do have their objective here to have 3 pieces. Now, I don't remember, did we have any pieces that qualified? I think we had one that was close, 200. I think that's as close as we get. Alright, you come to Count Hartmut von Harken's room to find him looking at a drawing on a scroll. He stares at you, the lip of the paper folding backward. My daughter thinks herself an artist. Can you believe that? He shows you the scroll. It's a pretty well done drawing of a man who looks suspiciously like Count Hartmut von Harken. The drawn figure is facing a hangman. Count Hartmut von Harken laughs. Dumb girl. He crumples the scrolls and tosses it aside. Anyway, my spies have already told me of your success. Here's your payment as we agreed. So we get 1,110 crowns. And unfortunately, these guys are still having the effects of being raided. I believe they had that last time we were here. Maybe enough time has not passed, but... that does mean that the supply of armor here is pretty limited, and I'm going to want to save my money up to buy the stuff that's going to get our ambition taken care of, so I think we just be patient. So, let's go ahead and go up to Weisenhaus and take a look over there at what jobs may be available. I'm not sure if I'm going to take any more faction missions at this point, especially not for Weisenhaus, because that is an extremity. Actually, I want to look at the faction relationship. So we're still neutral with all the houses. Harken and Krieger are about level with each other, maybe slightly better with Harken because we just did a job for them. It seems like it takes quite a while to build up the relationship with a particular faction, and if it returns back to the neutral point naturally, it might be actually really hard to build up the noble house relationship. So we have a 2-skull contract that is a noble house one, and as I just discussed, that will more than likely divert us. Now there's not any effects going on here. We could buy food or other supplies. We're pretty low on tools, so I'm going to go ahead and buy the tools here. Even if they are slightly expensive, they're not too bad. I've seen worse. So I'll go ahead and buy these. And we've got the cash for it. And I haven't taken a look at the ammo. I don't think I've bought ammo ever in this campaign. Just because we only have one archer, it's easy to maintain it. And medical supplies are okay. Medical supplies aren't too badly priced here, but I think we're fine. Food's good. We still have another 5 days worth of food, and I don't think there's really a point in buying more, even though we could buy bread on the cheap on that last 8 days. I mean, maybe it could be worth, maybe not. Let's just go ahead and leave for now. So, I'm really tempted to take a look at this contract. We can always agree to it and come back to it later, as we've done in the past. But the big problem for me is the fact that this is more than likely going to take me away from where I want to go, which is up to Adlerwalk and get more dogs. So I may just leave at this point. We could take a look at the 2-skull contract. I don't think that would hurt. All right, Bertwin of Weisenhaus looks out his window. We both know that brigands and the gods know what else are terrorizing these parts, and they are all quite fond of roads. After a particularly bad run, my old caravan guards lost the heart of the job. Now I need someone else to watch my shipment. Next one out is going to Grafenberg. Well, we just were at Grafenberg. Does that sound like a place you'd like to be paid to go to? How many crowns are we talking about? So 520 crowns. I mean, that's not a bad deal. And if enough time passes with Grafenberg, and it's possible that doing that mission got rid of the whole raided by Greenskin event. I wasn't really paying attention. We'll ask for a little bit more money. All right, 550. I'll accept it. Again, that is where I accept this contract. That is where we can get dogs. So again, maybe if enough days pass, they no longer have the greenskin effect. I think probably the journey to Grafenberg may be slightly longer than the one to Adlerwacht, but probably not that different. All right, along the road. While camping beside the road, a colorful wagon trundles up with a sort of clanking, jingling musical immodesty. You didn't think it particularly a big cart, but about 15 men and women inexplicably pour out of its back. Painted faces, musical instruments, juggling balls, long swords for swallowing, wine jugs for fire breathing. The troupe of entertainers fan out and demonstrate mini talent shows as though you'd already paid for their services. When they finish, they clap, stomp their feet, and freeze before you. Hands out, smiles across their faces. A white-faced mime ironically speaks. What say you, travelers? Care for a show? A mere 480 crowns to entertain you all evening. Alright, so we can pay for the show, we can rob them, or we can say, no thanks. You know what? My band hasn't had fun in a while. Why not? Sure, we'll pay for the show. You pay for the show, which the troupe puts on quite well. The jesters crack out some jokes, the jugglers juggle, which is sorta old hat, but whatever. Singers sing, swords get swallowed, fire breathe, and the mime, well, he's god-awful, and you actually hope he dies. When it's all said and done, you do feel like you got your money's worth, and the men are happy. So we've spent 480 crowns, and a lot of people are in good spirits now. That's good. Let's go on about our business. I should have passed some time, though. Should be day now. Oh, well, we're getting attacked. I didn't see how many, but it is a few brigand poachers, a brigand marksman, and many brigand raiders. I think it said 11, but I'm not exactly sure. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in the video right now, and we'll pick this up in the next video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.